Hey guys, it's Jackson here from Titanic Games, and today we're going to continue with our RPG game tutorial series and continue to try to kind of set up our equipment system. So this video is more going to be just getting kind of all the basic stuff put in place, and then later, we'll go through and actually add all the functionality. So with that, let's get started. Now, first thing we're going to do is concerning this BPI interact. Okay, so we're going to want to kind of take this use item event, and we're going to remove it from here and put it into a different interface that will be specifically for interactions involving inventory and equipment stuff. Okay, so before we can remove it, we need to get rid of any references to it. So to do that, let's just check our character really quick, make sure everything's good there. I don't know why that's being problematic, but whatever. So that seems to be okay. Let's go ahead and look in our UI. And I believe our inventory item has the use item event. So we can actually get rid of that. Okay, and what we're actually going to do is we're going to get rid of all of this, all right, because we're not going to need it anymore, and we'll be moving all of this functionality into the character themselves, just to kind of keep everything more localized and less kind of spread out. So it'll be easier to not get confused. Okay, so we'll delete all that for now. All right, and we'll just make sure the interface isn't there. That's good. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm just going to hit save all. Okay, but basically we can go back to our interactables folder now, open up the BPI interact, and we should be able to delete this with no problems. So we'll just hit delete. Now it's gone. Compile and save, and now everything that was using that the BPI interact will need to be recompiled. So our base interactable, just got to make sure that compiles. Same with our base item. Everything seems good. And if you hit save all, it'll clean up anything else. But really the ultimate test is just hit play, and if no errors show up, then it means everything's good. So we seem to be good. So now we'll go ahead and create that other interface. So we'll right click, go to blueprints, blueprint interface. We'll call this BPI underscore inventory. Okay, so it's going to be called BPI inventory, but it's also going to have functions that we'll use with our equipment system. So we'll open this up, and this first function here that we will call use item. So we're just moving that function over. We'll also call a function unused item. So this will be used for transferring something from our equipment back to the inventory. Okay. We'll add another one here called drop item, and I realize that our inventory system doesn't have any functionality for dropping things yet, so this will be used for that. And then we'll also call another one enable action bar, and that will come into play later as well. Now for each of these, we're going to add one input called item info. We'll change it to an F item info. Okay, so we'll go through each of those. Just ignore that. Here we go for the same thing, and we're going to actually be doing this a lot, adding a lot of inputs that are item infos. So just be prepared for that. There we go. We've got that done. So compile and save everything, and now we're going to go into everything that it needs to kind of relate to. So specifically, we got to go to our character, so we'll open them up, go to class settings, and go to the interfaces, and we'll add that BPI inventory. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so that's good for now. Then we'll go to our UI and open up that inventory item again. Go to the graph, or I guess we don't really need to go to the graph, but we can go to class settings, and we'll add that interface. So we'll say BPI inventory, compile and save, and now it's there, ready to be used. Okay. So the next thing that we need to do, which is kind of just more prep work, is go to our UI inventory. Okay, and if we go to the graph, we can locate this set widget style function. So we'll open this up, and basically right now it goes through, right, and it it sets the style of the button and everything, but it only sets the style if there is kind of something to tell it how to set the style, I guess, if that made any sense. So basically we just need to if the item info here doesn't have a type, right? Or, you know, just doesn't have a class or whatever. You know, if it doesn't have any of these, then we know that there's no item there. So we're going to want to kind of set a default style of things. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll drag off of this item type and say is equal to, okay, is it equal to enum none? Okay, so if it's equal to none, then we know that there's nothing there. Okay, and so I'm just going to move all this out of the way, just to kind of spread things out a little more. And basically all of this that we just did here, we're going to repeat it up here except with default values. Okay, so if this is none, we'll say branch. Okay, and plug this in like so. And then we'll take the false here and plug it in, because if it's, you know, not equal to none, that means that there's something in it. So then that means that we want to set the style equal to, you know, whatever the equipment or like the info is telling us to. Okay. But if it is equal to none, then we're going to set its default stuff. So we'll actually take these, right, and we can probably pull them back here maybe. I don't know, it's just a little messy. I'm going to just create some space. Create some space for us to use. Okay. So there we go. We got a little more space to work with. Fantastic. So yeah, like I said, we're going to drag off and say set text of text, and we will set it to just a basic, you know, nothing. Not going to have anything in there. And then we'll set the button style. So we'll say set style. Okay. And basically, we're going to set it. We're going to make a button style. Click this little drop down, and the only things that we're concerned with are just these top three. So we'll get rid of. We actually get rid of everything else, or I guess we'll keep the padding for now, just so we can. We'll just set the paddings to 0. So we'll say make margin. Leave it all at 0. Okay. Then we'll take our normal, drag out, and say make slate brush, and we're going to use this same one for pressed. Okay, so we can actually go over here to the pin options and untick everything except for, you know, image size, draw as an image. So we're going to set the size to 100 and 100, and we'll change the image here to border. Okay, so we'll actually do pretty much the same thing. So just Control C, Control V to copy paste, and plug that into hovered. And now the only thing we're going to add now is the tint. Okay, so we can give it kind of a color. And the color that we'll use is this one down here. So we can just Control C that one and paste it up here and plug it in like so. So there we go. You know, just to check the color again, you see it's kind of dark like this. And actually, I think we'll make it white. Okay, we'll make it kind of a brighter overlapping color. That'll just help it stand out a little more. All right. So compile and save. Oh, and last thing, this just needs to plug into the return node. So if we check this out really quick, I press play and I press I, right, you'll see it's kind of changed the button style so it looks a little nicer. So just to kind of make it a little more, I don't know, professional, I guess. So there's that. Oh yes, and the next thing, actually, still inside of the UI inventory, we'll go and we'll kind of add this sort of kind of styling to the top here. So what we're going to do specifically is we're going to add a horizontal box. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, first let's get rid of this text. We don't need it right now. We'll add a horizontal box to the canvas panel. Okay, so here it is. Right, here's our horizontal box. We'll anchor it to the top full. Okay, and then we'll set its offset to, you know, 0 and say its size at 50, just so it kind of lines up pretty well. That might be too big. I'll maybe say 40 or 45. I don't know. I'm a little picky, so you just do you and pick whatever works for you. Okay, next, inside of here, we're going to add another canvas panel, and this is so that we can kind of place things how we like inside of it. So we're going to set this to fill. Right. Next, we're going to add an image to the canvas panel, and with the image, we're going to anchor it to the full size of that canvas panel. So reset everything here to 0, and then we'll go ahead and change the tint of our, you know, thing here to maybe like 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. That might be okay. Now we'll add some text again to the canvas panel, and we're going to anchor it to the center, set its alignment to 0.5, 0.5, reset the positions, and then we'll say size to content, like that. And then we'll change the text to inventory. And now we've got something that looks a little better. Okay, so if you press play, hit I, it shows up and it looks a little nicer, I guess. You can create some more spacing here if you don't like that, but it'll be fine for now. Okay. So next we are going to go find our character. Okay, open him up, and basically inside of here we've got this little kind of pickup event happening, and this gets called, if you recall, from our base item. So we open this up, go to the event graph, and you see that when we interact we call pickup. Now one thing that I mistakenly did was we are calling this before we even check if we have space in our inventory, which is foolish of me. So basically we're going to take this kind of functionality right here and move it into the base item. Now since this will come in handy in other places, we're actually going to promote this to a variable, so just this little chunk and not the branch. Okay, so we'll right click, say collapse to function, and we're going to call this has space in inventory. So basically it's just going to check, it's going to be a function that checks if we have space in our inventory, so then we know if we can add stuff to our inventory or whatever. So with it selected, we're actually going to go over here to peer, and we're going to tick this to true. And now watch what happens. It drops down and it collapses even more, and it no longer has execute pins coming in. So basically this is just a peer function that kind of just gets a value and outputs it. All right, so the value that it's getting is it's returning whether or not our inventory still has kind of space in the inventory based on the inventory size. Okay, and then it returns whether that's true or not. So now we've created that. We're actually going to delete it, and we'll delete this, and we will come back to this later. So we'll go back to the base item now, and we'll create some separation here. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to take our instigator here, we're going to cast to my character. Okay, plug this in. And the cast will succeed because this is a CH my character. And then we can plug that into the target there. Actually, I'm going to break that really quick and then plug it in. And I did that by alt clicking, so if you don't know that shortcut, then it's definitely helpful to know. Basically, though, once we've done that, then we're going to do a branch, and we're going to call that function. So we're going to take our character and say check, or not check, what do we call it? Has space in inventory. So it'll get this peer function, and you can plug it straight in like that, and then hook up the true. So if we have space, then we will pick up the item, and then we will destroy it. All right. Now, I believe that should work. If it doesn't, then we'll just need to make sure that we do a get player character later on, but I don't think we should. So let's see. Oh, it's already a, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so it's already a my character. We don't even need to cast really. We can just get that value. Okay, so you can just do that. But again, if there's problems, then I just say go back to the cast and hope everything works out. All right, so compile and save. That's all good. Now back in the character. So the very last thing that we'll do now is we'll go back out to the content browser, go to our UI folder, and we'll just create the two UI widgets that we're going to use. So we'll go to user interface, create a widget. We'll call this UI underscore equipment. Okay, so this will be kind of the main one. So we'll just save that. And we'll create one more, go to user interface, again, widget, call this UI underscore equipment slot now. Okay, so again, save that. And now, in the next video, we'll finally start adding some more stuff to, kind of the equipment slot, and then, eventually adding functionality. So, if you liked the video, like or subscribe, and thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.